Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Rendezvous with Anzar Saqib on CxO Global TV. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C-levels across the globe. We take massive pride in contributing to the knowledge economy via this invitation-only exclusive platform where key thought leaders and the movers and shakers of the corporate industry contribute alongside the rest of the top journalists, analysts, and global disruptors who have made their mark in this world. We share knowledge with them and we learn from them. Today as well, I'm at the PTCL office in Islamabad with some very, very interesting guests that I met today, but a gentleman in particular that had an impression on us. He's a member of ours. Today we've got the Chief Business Services Officer with us, Mr. Zarrar. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming over.
Great, lovely. So, Mr. Zarrar, I mean, we've gone through your profile, and mashallah, you have so many accomplishments. But I want to know, how did this journey begin? Where did you go to school? What courses you studied? How did you end up at PTCL?
Okay, so after I did my high school, I joined Ghulam Isa Khan Institute in the Bachelor's of Electronic Engineering program. And generally, I never wanted to be an engineer, and I think this is a dilemma of a lot of youngsters that they don't know what they want to do. But if they get good marks, they generally either pursue medicine or engineering. So I did my high school in pre-engineering, so I started to do my engineering. But I think that was one of the wisest things that fate had thrust upon me. During my engineering, I focused on electronics, primarily telecommunications, and one of the things that used to really inspire me at that time was control systems. And after I did my, I finished my engineering. Unfortunately, the 1998, after I finished my engineering, there was sanctions on Pakistan because of the 1998 nuclear tests and everything. And as luck would have it, my first job was not an engineering job, but an investment banking job.
Oh, wow.
So I started my career in corporate finance, which I did for about 3 years, and then moved out from corporate finance into project advisory and then project delivery. I was working up until 2003, I was working with investment banks in different capacities, either on the advisory side or on the project side. And back in early 2004, I joined Mobilink, or Jazz as what it was called back then, and into the quality of service department. So I established the quality of service department in Jazz in 2003, and I was with Jazz until 2008. 2008, I went to Saudi Telecom Company to head the network deployment for their new mobile operations in Kuwait. So Saudi Telecom Company is the state carrier of Saudi Arabia. They just bought a very, very expensive license for 3G rollout in Kuwait. So I was the head of network. 2011, I became the chief technology officer. And in that role, I had the technology strategy, technology procurement, network, IT, VAS, the whole spiel reporting to me. In 2012, we launched LTE, and I think Kuwait was a very, very rich country. So therefore, I had the luck and the honor to really experiment with the latest technologies that were out there in the market. We launched 5G back in early 2019. We were the second operator in the world after South Korea to launch massive 5G.
Wow.
So it was with about 90% population coverage and everything. So that was something that was very exciting for me, because Europe didn't have large-scale 5G. I mean, Asia, of course, they did not have it. Then I moved back to Pakistan because of family reasons. And as luck would have it, there was an opportunity in PTCL. My background was investment banking in the beginning and then technology. And in PTCL, there was a role which was, of course, to head the B2B portfolio. Right. I was fortunate to be selected for this role. This was something that I was internally hoping for. PTCL I knew ever since I was a child. I mean,
Right.
I mean,
It is a household name.
absolutely. I think before there were mobiles and before there was internet, I mean, PTCL was the only way to communicate apart from letters. So I had a lot of nostalgic affiliation with PTCL. I joined PTCL in October of 2000, in fact, in November of 2019. And PTCL has two business units. It has the consumer business unit and the B2B business unit. I head the B2B business unit.
Right.
And in this area, I have responsibility of 3 revenue streams. So all the international business of PTCL, that includes our business, connectivity business with Afghanistan, with China, our submarine cables, our international business, that is within my business unit. The second one is our carrier business unit. As you know, PTCL is the carrier of carriers. So all
Right.
the mobile and fixed operators that are there in Pakistan, PTCL supports them in order to reach to the end customer.
Right.
So that is my second business unit, where we provide them tower connectivity, where we provide them with internet connectivity, we provide them with national backbone connectivity and everything. The third one is my enterprise business, where whether it is the government, large enterprises, small and medium enterprises, military, armed forces, any other foreign missions. So we give them the complete ICT portfolio of services. And PTCL B2B, or Business Solutions as our business unit is called, is over 40% of PTCL's revenue.
Wow. So that's a lovely portfolio that you're looking after, and I'm sure you've seen quite a bit. I mean, you've seen it all. However, my question to you is that in this day and age, for businesses, you have launched a couple of new services. What are the new exciting things that we can expect from your department in the future?
Okay, I think so. A lot has been done and a lot is in the pipeline. To start with, I would say that what we are trying to do at PTCL Business Solutions is that we are aligning our product portfolio and our service portfolio with the transformation journey of our customers. Now, what is the transformation journey that is happening in Pakistan? So 3 things are happening. The first thing is that we are right now at the cusp of the 4th industrial revolution.
Absolutely.
So the 4th industrial revolution would mean that our traditional ways of doing business are going to be turned upside down.
Yes.
Where we had process-driven things, so things would shift from process-driven to machine-driven.
Yes.
People would be replaced by intelligent computational resources.
Yes.
The second thing that would be coming in is that the traditional methods of generating economic activities are getting changed a lot. If you look at the youngsters today, there are a lot of positions that the young generation of today aspire to be that were not there even 10 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
like CxOs, Chief Experience Officers, Customers Engagement Officers,
Content creators.
Content
creator has become a $37 billion industry globally.
Absolutely.
So this was non-existent. So what is happening is that the third thing that is coming into Pakistan is that we have a very large youth bulge, and we want to make sure that in the older times, what people used to do was that they would immigrate to Gulf, they would immigrate to other parts, primarily on the blue collar job site. We have to make sure that we create and we enable the society of today to capture the future dividends that are there. Now, as you are aware that we are owned 62% by the government of Pakistan and 26% by PTCL.
Yeah.
So at our board of directors level, we are represented by both the institutions, the government, as well as PTCL. We have been given some very specific tasks. The first one is that PTCL has to be the engine that has to power a digital Pakistan.
Right.
In that regard, we are focusing on 5 areas. The first one is the digital infrastructure. Today we have 8 data centers that we are there. We are aspiring in the medium term to increase the number of data centers to 27.
Okay, lucky.
Today we have tier 3 data centers. We are focusing in our strategy to build tier 4 data centers. From a fiber connectivity point of view, PTCL is striving a lot in investing to reach areas which have not been reached before. For example, Gwadar.
Right.
PTCL is the only company that is right now in Gwadar, and we are supporting large CPET projects.
Right.
Also, what we are looking at is digital technologies. PTCL brought cloud about 4 or 5 years ago. Right
Right.
now, we are focusing on specific clouds. So we have deployed a banking cloud where we are now partnering with some of the largest software development companies on the banking sector to provide banking software as a service. We have deployed an education cloud, which is called QTalim. And in the education cloud, we have just won a large tender from the government of Pakistan in order to provide blended e-learning services. We are also
need of the hour.
It is. I think digital learning is going to be the future. Similarly, we are working on healthcare and all the other areas. The third part that we are focusing on is the innovation and entrepreneurship. Right now, we are ensuring that from our side, we are fostering innovation within Pakistan. We are working with Pakistan Software Export Board, we are working with Pakistan IT Board, our Ministry of IT and Telecom, and everybody else in order to make sure that we are enabling innovation, whether it is at large companies levels or it is at individual level in Pakistan. And the last thing that we are trying to really focus on is the customer experience. If you ask anybody about PTCL, unfortunately, this is something that can be said for a lot of traditional government organizations, that we are not known to be somebody who are very progressive. We are not known to be somebody who's very customer focused, agile. This is something that I intend to change, at least in my business unit, and our CEO is changing it across the organization. Our new logo that you probably would have seen in the beginning of the interview talks about the three attributes that we are going to live by, which is innovation, agility, and dependability. So these are the three things that my business unit, the PTCL Business Solutions, is going to live by, and we are going to make sure that we deliver these things.
Great, that's quite inspiring to hear that there are so many changes that are being brought around in PTCL. But Zarrar said there's always that concern that, mashallah, you're doing great with PTCL, but what about all these startups, or let's say the fresh graduates who are aspiring to become, let's say, the next Zarrar Hashim, or coming to that level? What would your advice be to them?
So there are two types of advices. So one is to individuals, the other one is for startups. At the individual level, I would like to talk to STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics individuals. What I would advise them is that I think the future is changing very, very fast. So if anybody got into engineering school, whether it is on the electrical engineering or computer sciences, there was a very set curriculum that is being taught to us. That curriculum is becoming
obsolete.
Obsolete would be a very strong word, but less relevant year on year. All the large organizations, whether it is E&Y Technology, whether it is Facebook, whether it is Google, they have abolished the requirement of a degree in order to get a job. The focus of employment in the future is shifting from degrees to skills. And I think there are two particular skills that I would strongly advise the youth of today to focus on, because these are the skills which are in huge shortage today, and they will be in shortage at least for the next 5 to 7 years. The first one is advanced analytics. So as you know, that every new business in the world is now focusing on monetizing the data that application or that machine or that sensor is generating. We need people who can actually monetize that data, which is the data scientists that can take out actionable and sellable information out of this huge scale of data that is being generated. So data analytics, apart from learning the basics, it's a very skill-based thing, and there are certifications. The second part which I would recommend would be artificial intelligence and machine learning. Process automation is one of the biggest focus of any industry anywhere in the world. And process automation just has, elements where you need to do the basic things of converting manual things to automated things, which is the simpler part. But the more difficult part is to get a machine to take intelligent decisions.
Right.
And get the machines to learn from the mistakes or the right thing that it is going to do. So to the youth, I would say that focus on skills. The future is all about what skills you have rather than what is your degree and which institution you got that degree from. Secondly, for the startups, I think there are two things that I can say. I have worked outside Pakistan for over a decade, and I have noticed that in terms of capabilities, our corporations or our people are behind nobody. I mean, probably we are much better than a lot of much better known countries. Our challenge is first of perception and second of projection. Because
so
when
we need to address the narrative.
I think addressing the narrative would become something very high level, very nationally strategic. But at a startup level, I'm not sure what contribution at a large scale can they play. They can play their small contributions, but what I would definitely recommend is that in this digital world, geographical boundaries are becoming as irrelevant as possible.
Right.
Previously people used to deploy software, so you needed to have passports that can get you visas to countries where you have to go ahead and deploy software. Now all software is on cloud. That would mean that you can be anywhere in the world and still perform all the functions that you need to perform. What I believe for startups is the biggest asset Pakistan has is that the qualified resources that we have, their salaries are much lower compared to what is available, for example, in India. I mean, forget about the West and everything. That would mean that the cost of software is going to be much lower.
Yes.
However, a lot of time where we are lacking are on two things. The first one is on the quality of the whole ecosystem. The general perception, especially on the startup side, that people who have had experience, they sometimes believe that there is a challenge towards a quality of the end-to-end journey of the delivery, from the first time you interact till the time the software gets end of life. The second part is on the perception. I think what we really need to do about Pakistan is that we have to change the perception of our software industry. And this cannot just be done by Pasha, this cannot just be done by Pakistan Software Export Board or even by the government of Pakistan. Every single one of us have to play our individual role in changing the perception. One big success that I have seen in the recent year and a half is on the tourism side.
Right.
Nobody knew Pakistan on the tourism space at all. We were known as a country that was beset by terrorism, and that was probably not compared anywhere.
Right.
But the tourism startups in Pakistan, they started to invite bloggers, in which they said that you are an internationally renowned blogger. The only thing that you have to pay for is your ticket. And the moment you land in Pakistan, we will host everything. Right. And what has happened is that wherever you start to see over the last year and a half, every single vlogger, whether it is Mark Weens or whether it is anybody else, they are coming to Pakistan and they're saying such positive things about Pakistan that on, let's say, Condé Nast, which is the largest publication in the world, Pakistan as a tourism destination is right there at the top.
Absolutely, one of the most sought after destinations of the future. And I believe there is a lot of potential that can be explored. Zarrar Sahib, unfortunately, we've reached the end of our time for today. But we learned so many new things from your journey and yourself. And I hope and pray that we keep learning more from you. Is there anything that you would like to add about CxO Global in particular?
Just one thing. First, I would like to thank Kamal as well as the entire organizations and the participant for this amazing initiative. I'm really excited to be a part of it and also seeing all the activities that you're doing. And the second thing that I would say about PTCL in particular is that PTCL is a national organization.
Right.
Individually, every Pakistani owns it. Yeah. And we are there to enable anybody who's interested in expanding or accelerating the digital journey. PTCL is there. Let us know how we can make ourselves better. Let us know how we can help you, and let us know how we can play our part in getting Pakistan to the place where it has to be.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Like I always say, together everyone achieves more. Thank you so much, Mr. Zarrar, for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Keep us updated with your feedback and comments. If you want to learn more about us, log on to www.cxoforum.global and stay tuned for next time with a very special guest.